You guys, I was on mute that whole time. Damn, I was on mute that whole time. Oh my god. Okay, start over. Arsenal are closing in on a deal for mykhaylo Mudryk. This is coming from Santi Ona from Football Mercado. This has also been echoed by Ukrainian journalists as well as Sky Sports. We are closing in. It is getting closer. The deal looks to be close to 100 million euros for mykhaylo Mudryk. And it looks like the Ukrainian forward will get his move to Arsenal. This comes off of the back of Chelsea, securing Joao Felix on a loan that has actually been extended to 2027 now. So it's a long-term loan situation where they're going to spread it over a certain amount of time so that they can get as much money from Chelsea as possible. But now we're staring the Mudryk deal in the face, and it looks like it could potentially get done as soon as possible. Final details are being discussed. What is being discussed is the percentage of add-ons for the deal. So Shakhtar want 20% of the full fee to be add-ons, and Arsenal want 30%. So the final nuts and bolts, the final figures are being decided, and this could be done as soon as, the end of the week. So it's looking like we could potentially be closing in on Mudryk, which is coming at a really, really good time. Just earlier, this has been a roller coaster of a day. This is my third stream of the day. And the first stream was kind of like, oh, we ain't got nothing to talk about. We're just going to kind of throw something together. Then it went to, oh my gosh, I'm frustrated about Felix, to now, oh my gosh, like we could potentially be closing in on Mudryk. Now, I've seen so many different responses from this. I've seen the obvious, like, I'm so excited that Mudryk is probably coming. So there's that. And then I've seen what are we paying for, right? What are we paying for? Who is this player? He has less than 30 appearances for Shakhtar. He's had a couple of really good performances for in the Champions League for Shakhtar, but ultimately 100 million euros is something that a lot of Arsenal fans kind of laughed at other teams for, in particular Manchester United, when it came to Antony. So there's a little bit of pressure there. He's a very talented player that has a lot of attributes that I think really suit Arsenal, but he's ultimately unproven. And so that's going to lead us into a situation where I do think he's going to come in with some pressure. Arsenal fans are going to be expecting him to hit the ground running. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight over the next 45 minutes or so. Or what are your expectations for Mudryk if and when he does come in? What are your apprehensions around him? Are you 100% gung-ho knowing that he's going to be a superstar? Because when you spend 100 million euros on a player, what you're saying is that you're paying for the potential of him to become something special. Do you think that that's going to happen? And if you don't think it's going to happen, why? I personally do trust Arsenal, and I'm not someone who's going to sit around and count the pennies all the time. If a player comes in and they do their job, I ultimately forget about the fee. You only really talk about the fee when the player flops. And so the good thing about Mudryk is that his wages won't be as big as Felix, so if you're an accountant, you can look at that stuff. But the fee will just be what it is, and if he hits the ground running and scores goals, then I really don't think people will be talking about it. The only reason why people talk about Vieira's fee is because people are unsure about him, because we had opportunities to bring in other players and we brought him in. We spent 30 to 34 million on him and people are unsure. So the same thing will happen with Mudryk. If he has a couple dodgy games, if he doesn't really hit the ground running, people will automatically be saying, was he worth the 100 million or whatever it is? But I do think that Arsenal, and Arteta in particular, has a really good footballing IQ and understand the type of players that need to come into Arsenal, what we're missing in that front line, and who's going to work with us, whether or not they're exactly like Saka or Martinelli. I don't know if that's necessarily important. I just think that Arteta knows what he wants, especially when he's looking at wing players. And so I think this is the perfect time for somebody to come in. It would be amazing if we could get the deal done before the Tottenham game. It's a little bit, close, but that would be amazing. Like, even if the deal was done, I do think, and I've said this a million times, that signings lift a club. They lift players, they lift the team. And so knowing that another player is coming in, even if he's not, in the lineup or in the squad against Spurs, somebody like Martinelli will know he needs to perform. ESR, he knows he'll have to perform. There's somebody else that can play left wing. So it puts a lot more pressure on the rest of the team, and I like that. And so it looks like we're closing in on Mudryk, which is good. And I wonder if there's anything else on the horizon, because looking at the team today, just kind of speaking on, you guys, my source is Santi JM. So I'll pull it up again for people that have missed it. There's 230 of you guys in here, which is amazing. Like the video, please, and subscribe to the channel. But I'll pull it up again for you guys that weren't here at the beginning. Why didn't I don't know why I didn't bookmark it, because I was lazy. Yes, my nose is still stuffed up. It annoys me. Let's see. I'm gonna get it. Don't worry. Arsenal took a decisive advantage in the race for signing Mudryk, Shakhtar Donetsk winger, whatever. Both clubs are still discussing bonuses, but have agreed on the total amount for the transfer. The amount, which will be 100 million, that's coming from Football Mercado, which is the initial source. It's not the initial source, but it's Santi J. So the original report actually came from Sports Arena. I can probably pull that one up a little bit quicker. You guys, I can't lie. Where is it, buddy? Okay. I know I'm gonna find it. You guys just keep talking in the chat. Here we go. All right, so share screen, do it. Okay, so this is the original thing. So this is Yanor. Don't focus on the top part unless you can read Ukrainian. Focus on this bottom part that I'm highlighting. Shakhtar and Arsenal are discussing the ratio of guaranteed payment and bonuses for Mudryk. The London club want bonuses to be at least 30 million of the entire transfer fee. Shakhtar wants the bonuses to be a maximum of 20. And so following up on that was I think Fabrizio Romano came back on this, which tap in. Arsenal board has always considered Mudryk priority target for January. Direct talks with Shakhtar took place also today, as Joao will join Chelsea. Deal not in final stages yet. Fee under discussion. Mudryk wants Arsenal at a priority, never in doubt. So he kind of, put his little spin on it. I don't really listen to everything that he says because he doesn't tend to know very much, to be honest. Let's see what else we have here. Yeah, that was coming from Sky Sports. It's imminent. And then this is this Santi J. So Shakhtar and Arsenal are closing in on a full deal for mykhaylo Mudryk. As already mentioned, the Ukrainian has already agreed in principle to join Arsenal. So we're getting there. It's not done, but knowing that we're at the full fee and we know what the fee will be, it's just about the fine details. We know we're getting there, and that's really, really good news. And yeah, I mean, just this is the perfect time to bring somebody like him in. We need fresh meat. We need freshness in the squad. And it's not like it's getting stale. It's just more like people kind of know what our players are going to do. This adds a different type of threat. It adds fresh blood into the squad. And we have some difficult matches coming up, and we're definitely going to need some more players. As we kind of saw today against the, as we kind of saw in the game today, our depth is not quite there. Our depth is not quite there. And we kind of until xhaka and Zinchenko came on, we really, really struggled. And so it'd be nice to get some new players in there. I will say that, like, I'm glad that we got to the next round of the FA Cup, but I don't ever need to see that first half again. Like, I really, really don't. Next, tomorrow morning, the show I'm actually going to do is going to be about the depth in one player in particular. I think we need to have a longer conversation about this particular player. You could probably guess who it is. But beyond that, I thought Vieira did a good job in terms of his final product is so good. It's just he needs to be like, I don't know if this is what Arteta wants or not, but I just feel like he's not on the ball as much as Odegaard, and maybe that's not what Arteta really wants. But he had 2 assists, which for me, if you're making mistakes and getting knocked off the ball, what I need to see is when you do things, it needs to really mean something. And I think what you see with Vieira is that even when he's crap, he has end product. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that. And he's only been here for a little while, so it is what it is. And then Nketiah got 2 goals, so we were okay. It was just like we needed our starters out there, and that's what the issue is. Yo-Yo says the squad isn't ready for a title charge at all, and I agree. It's just even with Mudryk, we'll still be kind of scraping if we get an injury here or there. What we also kind of saw in today's game was that Tierney and who's calling me at 11 o'clock at night? I don't know who you are. Tierney and Tomiyasu. Now, I think Tomiyasu's was more due to the fact that he hasn't played that often, so I'll give him a pass. Tierney, has the team evolved past Tierney? Was it just a bad game? Was it the last injury? I don't know. But the just walloping the ball into the other half of the pitch, the random crosses, the weird touches. I mean, I know everybody was kind of struggling with their touch today, but it just kind of was like, damn, you know? And so our depth isn't really there. I mean, Tierney is a good player, but does he actually act as like really good depth beyond, like, if Zinchenko's not there, the level does kind of drop off significantly because of the technical level. And then with Sambi, whoever he plays for, it's a little bit like, damn. So we're not really there for a title race, but I do think a player like Mudryk coming in and maybe one other one is at least, it would be enough for me to believe, okay, we're going to make sure that we meet our target, which is top 4, and maybe be able to do a deep run in the Europa League because the ESR is coming back and Jesus will eventually come back. And once they come back, as long as there's no more injuries, the bench will be Nketiah, ESR, Mudryk, Vieira. Like, that looks a lot different than what we have now. It's just we haven't had any of these players in a long time. Simon says that pitch didn't look fit for taking a shit on. I mean, you could just tell everybody was slipping and sliding on it. They had just watered it and it was so shit. And so there was, I think, puddles of water everywhere. So it wasn't great. Social Join says Tierney still needed for speedy, all pace wingers. Zinny defending ain't consistent. What do we think about Tierney's defending? Because I always thought Tierney was like a B- defender, but he had such good capability going forward because he could bomb forward. And there was a period of time at Arsenal where he was our only outlet. He was our only way of getting up the pitch and getting into the final third. So I don't want to take that away from Tierney. We played differently back then, and his crossing was really good. His speed was really good. Getting into the final third he was doing a really good job at that. But I never really considered him as like an amazing defender. Did he give his all? Absolutely. And I think that's what I think there's a difference between putting your body on the line and being willing to do the dirty work and actually being a really good one-on-one defender. I would say that like Zinchenko is probably a C level defender and Tierney's about a B-. I don't think there's that much in between them in terms of 1v1 defending, except for Tierney is willing to get hit in the face. And he's a little bit better and maybe a little bit faster. But I think we're giving Tierney way too much credit in terms of the defending aspect of things. What he was really good at was his ability to get forward, to get into the final third, and deliver a really nice cross. But because we don't play that way anymore, it's more of a evolution problem with Tierney versus like a quality issue, if that makes sense. Saida says, with the rumored fees going around for Mudryk, I doubt we'll bring anyone else in this window. I'm just glad we're adding something to our attack. Fair enough. 5686 Daryl says, one more attacker after Mudryk and we are flying. I think I do agree with Saida. I think I would be hoping, that one more they could sneak something else in. But I do think if the price tag does end up being closer to 100 million euros, I do think that pretty much is the end, for what we're going to do in this transfer window. That's a huge outlay for a player, so yeah. Nashville says Tierney is a heart versus head debate for most fans. I think so as well. EK says priority should be a number 8 who can progress the ball and do defensive contribution. DM can wait until the summer. The thing about the 8 situation is that basically you're looking for a better xhaka. What you're describing is a better version of Granit Xhaka, somebody who can progress the ball, do defensive things, score, get in the final third. That player is going to cost you a lot. That player is different, so I'm not sure that player is really available in January, but I do think in the 8 position, we can get away with what we have. I know people are still like, well, Vieira, this and that. When Vieira is playing with the better team, he performs. He does pretty well. He still gets knocked off of the ball, but in terms of what he can contribute in the final third, I think he does a good job. And when him and Odegaard played together against Wolves, I thought it was okay. Like, it wasn't as good as what Xhaka can do, but it's fine. Arnolito says, I wouldn't mind Tielemans for cheap after watching that Lokonga display today. About ready to give up on him. Yo-Yo says, I never rated Tierney, so my opinion matters little. I don't think he's our issue or player of concern. You never rated him. Fair enough. Joel BL says, how about getting a defensive midfielder on loan from wherever? We cannot do without an addition in the CM. Arsenal were not prepared to go into the midfield market until Elneny got injured. So we haven't been linked with midfielders significantly in this window. And so I do think that what that says from the club is that they're happy with the options that they have. They may not be happy with the quality, but they have too many bodies in order to bring somebody else in. So I do think that, I do kind of agree with you guys that in an ideal scenario, I would love to get another midfielder, because in an ideal scenario, I would get another left-sided center back. I would get a striker. I would get a bunch of players. But because we know how Arsenal operates, I do think that they're happy with Elneny, and so we won't really bring in a DM. Midfielder is not something that I see happening in this window, even though I would love it. Legume, the rapper, says, is Mudryk really close? Heard DiMarzio said something. DiMarzio did say something. Let me pull it up. DiMarzio, Arsenal, Mudryk. Sorry, I don't have these things already closed, but Arsenal are closing in on a deal for Mudryk. The Gunners want to seal the deal soon. That's from Mo Ibrahim from DiMarzio. So there's some pretty decent sources there in terms of the Mudryk deal, and I just wanted to know that we were still in there negotiating, and we weren't. It was just gone. You know what I mean? I just wanted to see an update. Sohan says, just as Saka, okay, he is. Arteta said he was fine, which is good. Let's see. New Limit Sports says, real job on the channel and commitment. Keep it up. I haven't been this active on my channel in a while, and I did need a break, and the Qatar gave me a good kind of reason to take a break as well. I needed a mental break from all of this and stuff like that, but I'm happy to be back because I do miss you guys. Alex said, Kroenke just became one of the richest sports owners in the world. We have cash to spend. Just be happy it's Arteta and Edu spending the cash and not Emery. Fair enough. Crow T says, buy a couple of attackers this window. Get Declan in the summer. Squad starts to look really good. I just don't know who else we could get in this window as an attacker. I mean, I don't know. I really don't. So for me, it's, we don't want to just get anybody. And when we get Mudryk, it will kind of be like we've gotten our number one choice. So I'm not sure Arsenal go back out for something else. So yeah. Is this a reaction to the Chelsea news? I don't think it's a reaction to the Chelsea news. I think Arsenal were closing in on the deal and Chelsea went and got done something else. Because remember, how things kind of happened was um, we were interested in Mudryk, and then Chelsea decided to get interested in Mudryk as well. They never put in a bid. They just had talks with Shakhtar, which I think were ultimately like more of a ploy to just make sure Arsenal stayed honest in the negotiations. But Chelsea were never going to put in a bid for Mudryk unless they knew he'd come to us, and Mudryk was holding out for us. So unless our deal collapsed, Chelsea was never going to really go in for him. So the Felix news coming out before the Mudryk news, I actually think Arsenal were working on the Mudryk deal. It got so far along that in negotiations that Chelsea decided to go and do their own thing. And so now they ended up with Felix, who's an amazing player, and we'll get the player that I think Arteta really wants. Jesse says, I think Shakhtar let Chelsea know that Mudryk only wanted Arsenal. Exactly. John P says, we do need 2 midfielders, but I see it being a summer thing. January is for firepower only. This is a really good point, John. And you see that every team, basically, I think, that has went into the market and bought players have bought attackers. Manchester United have bought Workhorse or loaned in Verkhorst. Chelsea has gotten Joao Felix. Liverpool, who need midfielders, have went out and got Gakpo. So I think that's a really interesting point, is that most teams are going out there and bringing in firepower, which I think if your goals dry up, you're finished. I think goals can cover a multitude of sins and can paper over many, many, many cracks. See Tottenham for a good example of that. And so see Arsenal with Aubameyang scoring goals. I mean, so if you can keep the goals coming, even if things behind that aren't perfect, you're probably fine. And I think that's what Arsenal are banking on. They don't want the goals to dry up. Because last season, I do think that was an issue. Our goals kind of dried up. We weren't really firing. And had we been able to nick a goal here, nick a goal there, I mean, maybe against Burnley at home, that alone, even losing to Spurs and losing to Newcastle, we go into the top 4. So, yeah, I do think that Arsenal understand that goals are super important. There's 400 of you guys in here. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel and get in the chat and let me know what you think about our game, Mudryk, who else you want to see come in, all that good stuff. Ify says Danilo is going to Forest. I think they have put in a bid. It was rejected for 18 million. So they may hold out for a little bit more, but Danilo going to Forest would be a really good, we'll see how close he actually really is to playing for a team like Arsenal, because we were talking about this earlier and people were like, well, I don't want to miss out on Danilo. What if he ends up being a Bruno Guimaraes? That could happen, but also Forest are not a great team. So it'll be really interesting to see if he goes there, how he performs. Will he be like Paulinho? You know, Paulinho has been really good for Fulham. So, and Paulinho came from the Portuguese league. So we'll see if he goes there, what happens. But I think that more than like confirms that we're not interested in him. We probably won't get him this window. Kwame says, I believe Arsenal's defense will make them win the league. How good was Gabriel today? I mean, I know it's just Oxford, but at the same time, like, I do think Gabriel has been really, really good this season. Let's see. EK says, if we play that midfield against City in the next round, it's long for us. Well, here's the thing. I know people anticipate both Arsenal and Manchester City rotating in the next round. I don't think they will rotate as much as people think. I think Pep and Arteta will probably use this as some sort of like prelude to the big game on January 14th, I think it is, or we play them on February 14th or something like that. And so I think that, like, I don't think they will go as weak as they did against Chelsea against us. And I think we'll play a pretty strong lineup, because those two, I mean, before it was very much like, oh, you're my little brother, blah blah blah, but now I think Pep is really looking at him like, for real. I gave you my players and now look, you know. So I think I think will go stronger than what people think. Are you guys on TikTok? If you guys are, you have seen this most likely on your For You page, but if you're not on TikTok, if you know that scene from Zoolander when what's his name walks by Owen Wilson and they bump each other and he's like, "Excuse me, brah," and he's like, then what's his name is like, "You're excused," and then Owen Wilson turns around, he's like, "And I'm not your bra." I feel like that's so Arteta and Pep right now. Like, excuse me, bruh. I'm not your bra. Like, that's what it feels like. Okay, I'm lame. I'm sorry. Alex says Chelsea are actually such a laughable club. They're embarrassing. I do think that they're struggling, and I hope they finish 10th. John P says people need to watch Arsenal Vision scouting on Danilo. The guy is raw, gets caught on the ball a lot. Saksham says Vieira was stinky in the first half. He was. Everybody was stinky, but he was particularly ripe. He was not very good. I just don't think that they were really up for it. But again, that Vieira Sambi midfield, it doesn't work because both of them need more substantial support in midfield with them. So once xhaka came in, Vieira started to flourish. It's very obvious. Like, I think I said it in my preview if you guys were here. I said that we should have started Elneny, xhaka, and in hindsight, we didn't need to start them because we won the game anyway. But I would have started with Elneny, xhaka, and Vieira because the physicality of that team, even though they weren't very good, we needed to be able to establish a little bit of put our stamp on the game so that we could play the way that we wanted to play. Xhaka came in and ran them down a couple times, won the ball a couple times, and boom, we had all the possession, and we started to really dominate the game. And so, yeah, in the preview, I said no Vieira plus Sambi, and he did it, and it was so bad. It didn't help that you had Holding back there dictating play. I mean, when I say that he kicked the ball out so many times unprovoked, it was insane. And then it was just Tomiyasu and Tierney were a nightmare. It was just a nightmare altogether. I don't ever need to see that again. Ahmed says, is Mudryk close? Please don't get my hopes up. I'll show it to you guys again for you guys that weren't here. Let me go back to what I was at before. If you see us in the club and you're acting real nice, see us on the floor. They see you work body. Okay. So for those of you guys who weren't here, this is coming from Yehor Danilov. He's one of the first people to talk about Arsenal's interest in Shakhtar. He is a Ukrainian journalist from Sports Arena. Shakhtar and Arsenal are discussing the ratio of guaranteed payment and bonuses for Mudryk. The London club wants the bonuses to be at least 30% of the entire transfer fee, and Shakhtar want the bonuses to be a maximum of 20%. So there's a little bit of a gap there in terms of what the clubs want. Arsenal, Mudryk. Let's do that. See if I can find it quickly. This is coming from Santi Ona. Shakhtar and Arsenal are closing in on the full deal for the forward. As already mentioned, the Ukrainian has already agreed in principle to join Arsenal. This is with Samnanda, and this is from Football Mercado. So Santi J is pretty reliable, and the information, it hasn't been refuted yet. Like, it hasn't been, nobody has really said, like, this is not true, blah, blah, blah. So it does look like it's happening. It's also been echoed by Sky Sports, that Chef guy, Darmish Chef. I thought it would be on here. It's not on his thing, but they also said it on Sky Sports, and they said it looks like it's imminent. So it's happening, I think. Let's not say for sure, but it looks like it's moving in the right direction. And now we're at the point where the full fee has been agreed. We just have to kind of get the fine tuning of like what percentage of that is going to be add-ons and which is not. So yeah, Speed Up Song says, is this Mudryk coming to Arsenal? It seems like it would be. Saksham says Shakhtar are tough MFs. They are. Smart Cookie says Trossard over Mudryk is like a Kia Picanto over Ferrari. I don't know. I get the Trossard thing, but at the same time, I feel like like Mudryk, we're paying for the possibility of him becoming world class, where we know Trossard will never be that. Yo-Yo says we've seen familiar performances by supporting cast in the Europa. I'm not hearing none of these excuses come spring. Some of these players aren't hungry. Yeah. So we were talking about this on the match reaction on the football terrace, and I know some people won't like that I said it, but I really don't care because it's truly how I feel. Sambi is a player that we paid for 18 million. That's not chump change for a player of his level. Like, he came from Anderlecht, the Belgium league, 22 years old when he came in. And I kid you not, in the Europa League and in the FA Cup, I've seen better performances from Joe Willock. Period. You know, and Joe Willock didn't cost us anything. And I get that he's academy, so it's kind of like, you know, you have a soft spot for him or whatever, but I didn't even rate Willock. But when Willock played in those lower level competitions, he contributed more than what I've seen from Sambi. He worked harder. It seemed like he had more about him. He was more hungry. And my problem with Sambi is that I often don't remember anything that he's done because he doesn't really stand out. But when he does stand out, it's because he's making a mistake. And he just doesn't have any intensity or anything really about him. And so he has a good passing range. He's a nice player on the ball. But if you can't do it when you're under pressure, then it's not really of use to us. You know, it's all well and fine if you could do it, when you have that extra second or two, in whatever slower league that you're in. But the Premier League slows down for nobody. And today you were up against League One players and you couldn't even make a mark. And I get that Vieira really struggled as well, but Vieira's only been here for 5 months. Sambi's been here this is his second season, so I've seen better performances from Willock. And that's what worries me, is because Willock was not a bad player, but yeah, he wasn't a bad player, but we knew he wasn't going to make it. So there we go. Let's see. Life of BOJ says we're defo better with Willock over Sambi. EK says Martinelli played well on the right wing against Man United at Old Trafford last season. Is the audio gone, you guys? Let me know. Can you guys hear me? Audio issues. A lot of you guys are saying audio issues. Is it bugging out? There is no audio problem. You guys let me know if there's an audio problem or not. A lot of you guys are saying it. Your mic has gone? Really? Okay, hold on. Hello, 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 hello. All good now? Okay. So, sorry, I don't know what happened there. But again, I've seen better performances from Willock, and that's what worries me. It's that, I should be seeing more from Sambi. We purchased him for 18 million. And I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but you should imprint yourself on the game. And as much as Willock was more just like a runner and he was kind of more box to box and a little bit more rough around the edges, he made an imprint on a game. And a lot of games for me with Sambi have passed him by. And that's my issue with him. But we'll talk about that more tomorrow, because I feel like it's a much bigger conversation than what we can do right now. And what I like is that we have differences of opinion and some people really back him. And that's what I really want, is to have almost like a debate with you guys around what should happen with Sambi. Does he deserve more time? Am I being harsh? You know what I mean? But right about now, it's not looking good, Brev. So yeah, but I just wanted to do a short one right now. I can't really stay on too much longer. But if you guys are just joining, go back to the beginning. I went over all of the journalists that have said that Mudryk is close. The deal is almost complete. They're doing the fine details around the percentages of the add-ons and stuff like that. So it should go through, which is nice. And I do think that Felix going to Chelsea was kind of like them being briefed that they're moving forward with Arsenal negotiations, which is great. Hopefully it gets done soon, but I will be back tomorrow. We'll do a little bit of a Sambi conversation. And then if anything happens in terms of transfers, we will definitely go over them. Enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good rest of your day. And I will see you guys. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. Bye, you guys.